My second area was Mataró, which is a suburb of Barcelona. It's about 35 minutes north of Barcelona on the coast. So it was actually probably the biggest area I ever had. The ward went from just north of Barcelona all the way up to the French border. We didn't have any members up that far because it would have been a lot farther, but it was like the farthest into that corner that we really got, except for a tiny little branch. And so, yeah, that was my hardest area. I was there for 2 transfers, and so I finished my training there. I loved my companion. Then I got a new companion, and I think in those 3 months that I was there, we honestly had 2 investigators. And that's like people who counted as investigators, like that we had a visit and we set up another one, like only 2. It was a lot of door knocking and trying to organize like events and activities to invite people to, and then find people to invite. But it was really good. My favorite thing about that area was probably the ward. It was that ward that I told you about, that there were only about 42 people who showed up every week. But they were kind of the definition of a ward family. They were all very aware of what was going on in each other's lives, and there was just so much love and support, and they were so grateful that they had missionaries. I think, so there were only 3. There were 3 RMs in the ward. One was completely inactive. One would come every once in a while, and one was the bishop. And that was it for like RMs. And the bishop, who was an RM, I think he was the only adult who was a 2nd generation Mormon, like him and his sister. And so it was just kind of everybody still figuring it out, but they loved the gospel, and they loved that they had missionaries, and they were so united in trying to live the gospel and like trying to be like a really good ward, even though there were a lot of struggles, which was just great. So in Mataró, in my second area, we were out. So we had a bunch of different little villages all connected by a train, and so we would sometimes just like choose a village to go and like knock doors and invite people to church. So we chose one. It was Montgat, which was about 20 minutes south of where we lived. So we went down, and there weren't a whole lot of people out, but it was fine. We were knocking on doors, and it was a small enough village that it wasn't like get inside of big buildings kind of a place. It was pretty much stay on the street and just knock on the doors. But there was one building that was like an apartment building, and we tried to get in, but they actually had a doorman who wouldn't let us in, which was fine. We were used to it, but I really wanted to get into that building. So we kept going, and it was a beautiful, like, blue skies, no clouds, sunny day. And it was kind of on a hill, so we're like tracking up this hill, talking to people, knocking on doors, and we'd probably been out about an hour when sirens started going off, and we're like, why are there sirens? Like, maybe somebody needs to be arrested. Like, that was the only thought that I could think of, but it didn't sound really like police sirens, so it's just kind of weirded out. And then these big raindrops started falling, like really big ones. And I was just like, well, this is weird weather. Okay, we can keep going, like it's just rain. And then like thunder started, but there's like still no clouds. It was really bizarre. Anyways, so then all of a sudden, like, it got dark and it started raining even harder, and it's just like coming down really hard, and then hail started coming with the rain. It was like the most bizarre weather day ever. So it's just like coming down, and we're like, man, we should not be outside because it's hailing. So we start sprinting down this hill, like just trying to get back to the Renfe station, like the train station, to get under something. And we're running down. And as we're running down, this big apartment building that we wanted to knock the door of. This guy opened the door because he sees us running in our skirts and completely drenched. And he's like, come in, like, get in here. Like, so we do. And we're just like waiting in the lobby, completely soaked, freezing cold. And it was bizarre because there's this guy in a wheelchair and this other guy taking care of him. And the guy taking care of him, he kind of looks over at us like, oh, these new people just showed up. Good thing that they're not out in the rain. And he like does a double take. And you know, this is our badges. And he comes over and he's like, do you guys have the Word of God? We look at him. Yes, we do. And we were able to give him a Book of Mormon and invite him to church. And I think he was from Colombia, but he'd talked to missionaries like once before, but never actually gotten a Book of Mormon. But they'd been like, yeah, like God speaks to people and like his word is on the earth again. And he remembered that. And so it took a natural disaster kind of to get us into that building that they wouldn't let us into before, to get him a Book of Mormon, which was kind of awesome.